Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Nurses Heartbeat. My name is Philip. So, in this episode, I am going to share my personal experience about the NCLEX exams. I have done a couple of videos about the NCLEX, and then I intend to do more because I've seen quite a lot of people have interest as well when it comes to the NCLEX and processes. And I will come with how to do the registration and everything. And then we will also do NCLEX questions. All right, so stay tuned, and I've got you, and I'm going to um, go through the NCLEX journey with you together. All right, so this one is personally to talk about my NCLEX process. Some people ask, is it difficult? How long do you take to learn? I have done a video about time you can take to do the exams and everything, um, from research and from what many people talk about and all of that. But today I want to give you my personal view about the NCLEX exams. So I started my NCLEX journey around 2022. I started with the registration from the CGFNS. Now I think they have changed their names. They sent me an email recently. They have changed their name. So the registration with CGFNS took me about 10 months because I was had my education in Africa, Ghana to be precise, and there were a lot of verifications I had to provide. There was a lot of delays when I was trying to contact my home country to get some documents, um, posting the document and all of them. Those factors really affected the process, and the CGNFS process itself takes quite a long time. So within the period that I was doing the verification of my documentations, my certificates, and my transcripts and everything, I was learning in that time as well. I was preparing for the NCLEX exams. So I had in all about 10 months to complete my verification process, and throughout the 10 months I was studying towards the NCLEX exams. All right, so sometimes when people ask me, can I use 1 month or 2 months to prepare for the exams, it becomes a bit difficult because I personally spent a couple of months, quite more months, and there are so many factors that come to play when answering that question. Because let's say, for instance, you were educated in US, your curriculum and style of learning, everything might differ from myself, that I wasn't trained in that country, because we are not NCLEX focused people. All right, we have our licenses that we write and we practice in our country, but we don't do the NCLEX. So we might not have our um, education structured around NCLEX. Okay, but if you find yourself in place that you need the NCLEX to get your registration, your curriculum may have a lot of things tailored in NCLEX style of way, and therefore you'll be able to do it quite easier than somebody from Africa might do. So it also comes to the fact that how long have you been from school? Okay, so if you're a fresh graduate that you just completed school, you have a lot of the theories from your school, and it will be easier to do the NCLEX exams, even though it is a clinical based exam and you need a lot of clinical experience to also get your way through. It is more theoretical, I believe. And if you have that fresh mindset, fresh mind from school, you are easier to have your exams done in a couple of weeks to months, and you'll be done, compared to somebody who has graduated from school for say 5-10 years and you are on the ward, you need a lot more time to refresh your mind about theories, content review, and all of that. Okay. So it's not a straightforward answer as to how long you need to prepare, and it depends on individual strengths. So, like I said, within the 10 months of waiting for my verification to be completed, I was preparing for the NCLEX. And after the 10 months, when I had a message from Pearson View that I have authorization to test, how I finally booked for the exams and I wrote the exams. Now, in my first attempt, it was the new one, the NCLEX next generation. So we had 150 questions, and I had to do all the 150 questions. So I did my first NCLEX exams in 2023, where I registered in London. So I went to London to do the exams, and I had all the 150 questions. Now, this is what happens when you are writing the exams, as I have already indicated in my previous video. You may have 150 questions, and from 85, question 85 going, the system can go off depending on your strength. So if you are constantly getting your answers correct, you can pass at question 85. And if you are below the belt, it can also shut down at 85, okay, and you will fail. So the NCLEX is a pass or fail test. And sometimes, if you are like in the middle, the system is trying to ascertain your strength, you can go on doing quite a lot of questions. So I had all the 150 questions. Some people have the 150 questions and they pass. Some people have 150 questions and they fail. And I remember I went in to write the exams with a friend. So he showed me how to do the pop up a test, and then you'll be able to see whether you have passed or you have failed. And he called me when I got home and asked me, how did it go? And I said, okay, when I did the pop up, this is the message I got, and said, well, it looks like it's a bad pop up. So initially, I realized that, well, if it is a bad, he said, okay, this is my response to, and I realized there was a difference. So I got to know from the stats that I need to prepare myself for the next exam to take. And that is what happened. But overall, when the results came within 48 7, then it showed I failed. I said, okay. So immediately, because when I assessed myself, I realized that, um, well, the questions were not very difficult. And even though it was quite tricky, and with my performance, I felt maybe I was just one or two way below the scoring mark. So there is no need I have to sit home for a long time. So I need to get back on track. And then you see, when you pass, you fail the NCLEX, you have a couple of days, I think more than 30 days or so, to rewrite, to be able to register for the NCLEX again, to write the NCLEX, sorry. So immediately I realized I didn't pass, then I booked. So I wrote in April 2023, and when I failed, I registered in for May 2023. Yeah. So it was like a month and some weeks I was going to take. The May was ending of the May. So a month and some weeks I was going to take the next exams. And then this time, I realized that I didn't have to go back to London to write. There was a center in Manchester. So I registered for Manchester and I went in. Now, what is good is that when you fail at anything, um, it doesn't mean you have failed. It means you have had an experience. You have learned what works and what will not work. Okay. So when I was going in the second time, I was more brave. I was more confident, and I have been exposed to the exams atmosphere, so I was that confident and I knew what I was going to do. And in my second attempt, after my 85th question, the machine shut off. And when it shut down, I knew I had passed by then. I was that confident, and unlike the first one that um, I was thinking, will I pass or not? This one, I was more confident. I have passed. I was more relaxed, and then I was taking breaks often. So I think my 30th question or my 60th question, after that, I had some breaks. I even took one break before the machine asked me to take break. You know, when you are doing the exam, there are, after I think from the 60th question going, the machine will ask you, the computer will ask you whether you want to take a break, you know. So I even took one break before I got to that stage. So I took break quite often. I will go to the washroom, and then I'll go and clean my face with some water, and then I will stretch and all of that, quite to calm down and to relax my mind. And then I'll go in out again to take these exams. Okay. And that is one thing that I believe is a key when you are writing the exams. You need to relax, you need to have regular breaks, and then you need to calm down and try to put all the measures in place that you not be overstressed. Okay. When your mind becomes too hot, it might not really go on well with you. And I think all those are experiences that I had, and I gathered them together going in the second time to do the exams. The last thing that I also realized was helpful in my second attempt was, probably in my first attempt, I was overthinking, and that is NCLEX. Um, do not overthink, because sometimes when the question is asked, the answer is quite clear. But if you want to be too rational, you want to think very deep, you might end up getting the answer wrong. Okay, so in the English exams, even though it needs thinking, do not overthink things. Sometimes you want to overthink every word, every statement, every sentence. You know, you want to read deeper into it. When you do that, you might get it wrong. Okay, so don't overthink. And then, if you are not very sure, your first guess is always right. When you do the NCLEX, you realize that, let's say you are not too sure of the answer, your first guess, unless you have realized that it is totally wrong, I wouldn't advise you to change it. Because if you change your first guess to the second one, you realize that the first one was the right answer most of the time. Okay. So if you're not sure about it and you make a first guess, trust your intuition, and go with that. So that was it. And many people feel very down when they take the exams and they don't pass. And I understand, because some people take it a couple of times and they are still struggling with it. And sometimes it's difficult to console them, but take heart and then keep on going. Um, it's possible that sometimes you just don't get the luck to meet the questions that you want, because I believe that there were a couple of questions that I had not even seen those questions or those topics in my nursing studies. I didn't see it. It wasn't in any medicine book, in any surgical book. I didn't learn about it in my curriculum. I saw that in the NCLEX exams, and I came back home and I tried reading about it, and I realized that they are there. It's not everything about nursing that you'll be taught in school or that you ever meet. Okay, that is why in the profession we are learning every day. And sometimes it's happened like that. You go to the exams and there are things you have never been taught before, and you meet them. So they are all parts. So if you have not passed, like I failed in my first instance, don't give up. Okay, push and go. Sometimes you realize that you were almost there. Okay, and then just give it a go the second time or the third time or the fourth time. Don't give up until you achieve your aim.